write a poem inspired by a favourite film, and people came out with all sorts of things, and then I thought, well, you know, don't ask anyone to do something you won't forget yourself. So I came up with this. It's called Jimmy and Steph. That couple on the pier, Jimmy and Steph from Quadrophenia, grown up, grown old, back here for an all-nighter. Enquires how she's been, hears of grandkids, hubby's shed, anything, except some nights she hears his scooter pass by mum and dad's, hairdryer hum intact. He chats of ex-wives, ex-jobs, new timeshare, still digs backcombed hair and streamlined skirts, passing rock shop lists past faces who'll attend the gig, and laughing as some fat bloke munches sugar-fried eggs takes her hand. She remembers, snaps of them are back at the hotel, show him later, lets things stand. He feels her wedding ring upbraid hard skin, marvels that she doesn't let him go, as sharing natter from Bennet, discovers who's in trouble, broke or dead. Thinks him unchanged, just chrome-shot hair, can still look good in slim fits. Who'd have twigged they'd date Brighton again if only for the weekend? In her head, unutterable, stay, let's not go back, they'll never say. Cases re-strapped, the read-on beige and grey, the stay pressed black and blue of yesterday. Hogarth and the poems in Revueville, I kept coming back to Hogarth because I really love his etchings and his paintings. And this one really was a poem where I was imagining who he painted then and who he might paint now, and it's a bit of a list poem really. It's called Melee. Mixers, fixers, rats, boat drinkers, cupbearers, dandy, fop, grub streeters, dead men, jailers, brothel keepers, slug-faced politician, beggar, vendor, backdoor man, mods, teds, ministers, whores, bikers, couriers, lords, ladies, lap dogs, beggary in sackcloth, rockers, harlots, dockers, rent boys, poets, boxers, all familiar places. William finds his faces. For with the bawdy etchings and the London Life and the Rake's Progress and things like that. And I wrote this poem as Hogarth and it didn't work. And then I wrote the poem as one of his clients and it didn't work. And then I wrote it as his dog, Trump, who was a pug dog. And obviously the dog was meant to tell the story. So I think if you're in the 80s, sometimes it takes you to a really odd place. Okay. Mr. Hogarth is unwell. I'm the painter's pug. From sash windows he and I look down on a loud, lamenting crowd. They mourn the silken countess who 2 days ago was much reviled. Now hacks embrace her shroud as they caress a favoured child. I growlingly consider crowds fair game, as does my master. Although I've heard him say his forte lies with epics, rising hackles pulse with mine for this jostling, posturing throng who howl so long. Not to sketch them would be wrong. Rakes, insipids, toasts and sits, oglers, critics, prigs and bows, throw a favour, toss a rose, grindingly grief's traffic flows. Howl as galleon-skirted models sail past beggars. My yaps ask where the buggers think they are. My master quiets me. Amazing his slack jowls resemble mine. Pug eyes sicken to paint ancient scenes. This man's unwell. Snug fingers pour crowds for gods and emperors. His bawdy muse already reaching groundwards. Mitten, Dyer. My great-granddad was called Billy Gibson and he lived between 1884 and 1955 and he was a bit of a sportsman. He was a harrier in Sutton-in-Ashfield in Nottinghamshire and he was a dog handler and a factory worker, and loads of people recollected him telling stories, and he did things like he rode a penny farthing bike through someone's house, through the front door and out the back. So I wanted to write a sequence of poems about him. And one of the things that really struck me was I was writing this poem about him, and it was about what my mum had told him about me about his sort of funeral and how he died and everything. And at the same time I read this obituary for Keith Floyd, the chef, and it was I thought a really unpleasant obituary, because the bloke who wrote it didn't seem to say anything nice about him at all, which made me quite angry really. So this was a poem that I didn't expect to write, because it started off as just about my great-granddad, but it ended up being about Keith Floyd as well. So it's called Floyd on Exiting. When Keith Floyd died, tabloid story, chef's final feast, partridge, cocktails, full-blown wine, reminded Mum of Billy Gibson's parted going, bitter dessert cake, marinated song, at Sutton Lib Club's pensioners' Christmas night. Billy poling up come dawn's glazed light, Trilby tight bands at his crown's back, wrong scarf, piquantly worse for wear, boasting booze too much, food too much, fantastic times tasted. Such swanning served later by friends their glacé eyes. He'd sung, let him go, let him tarry, let him sink, let him swim. Suffer tomorrow, daughter grinned at forced defiance. Your head'll be that old chestnut, the drunkard's curse. Mates reheated Billy's refused seat downstairs. He'd felt abused, well-meaning steward, ill-versed in tact, asked able-bodied, boozing upstairs, dying up to his showman nickname, ballads flambe flame, gone in bed, no bruising hangover, cure unneeded. Now Floyd's obituary note, a mean-spirited rival gloats of days mislived. Still, something to be said for tables left post-savoured food and drink. Hungover insecurities dwindled, think reducing stock. Obits gut and joint the dead, no cognac's afterglow. Fabled feasts feed hungry ghosts, allow my unrepentant angels chorus. Let him tarry, let him go. I wrote again about Billy Gibson, and it's just called Black Over Bill's Mothers. Crossed knives against scoured tabletop, spilled saltar, Billy didn't mop, fretting magpie on the gate, four-leaf clover sported late, Aunt cast these runes some years before, Bill put the wrong foot through the door, Bill gazed at a new moon through glass, Greek tragedy'll come to pass. Whit Sunday baby's nails were cut, she hears old coffin lids screwed shut, lamenting loud as if obscene his chosen coat of evergreen. Her Friday pleasure papers wide, who'd have thought it, guess who's died? There'll be a wake, force meat, crab tongue, and after, crude, port-sodden song.